I'm joined by Damien Dempsey from the School of Agriculture Food Science, Aoibhinn and Paul, who are two current students with us, so thanks very much for joining us. Damien, I might start with you. In terms of studying agriculture and food and nutrition, what kind of students are interested in these courses and what attracts them to UCD?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, David. In the School of Agriculture and Food Science, we have 12 undergraduate programs and they're accessible through 13 different entry routes. So we have a wide range of different programs that are available within the school. So we get students from right across Ireland, and indeed lots of more international students now studying choosing to study agriculture at UCD. In fact, there are almost 2,000 students when you look at undergraduate and graduate taught and research students within our school. And I guess some of the real reasons why students are looking at the School of Agriculture and Food Science that we feel are not only for the wide range of courses that we offer within the school. We're the only university in Ireland with a School of Agriculture and Food Science. We have expertise across the entire food and health chain, and we also offer some courses outside of the food chain as well, like forestry, courses in animal science, equine as well. I guess what students get, the benefit of coming and choosing to study at UCD in the School of Agriculture and Food Science, they get access to really top international staff and national staff who are really at the cutting edge of their discipline. UCD, as we know, is a top 1% university ranked in the world, and indeed, additionally, for agricultural sciences, we were ranked last year by the US News and World Report number 1 in Ireland, 5th in Europe, and 19th in the world. So you're really been exposed to really top academic staff at the cutting edge of their disciplines if you come to study a program with us. So there's some of the reasons, I guess, that students would, or some of the benefits, if you like, of coming and choosing a course in UCD.
And you mentioned that there's a wide range of subjects that students can choose from the CO. Could you maybe give us an overview of what the options are within the school?
Yeah, so 12 undergraduate programs, and we've those courses bundled together. What we're saying is that one of our groupings of programs, if students enter through the omnibus entry program, they're presented with 6 different undergraduate options. So they can choose animal and crop sciences. We have an animal science program. We have an animal science equine degree program. We have a food and agribusiness management course, food business with Chinese studies, and agricultural systems technology. So students, in fact, who come in first year, they can choose any of those 6 options if they apply via the omnibus entry route. Outside of that, we have additional programs in dairy business, in agri-environmental sciences. We have programs in food science, in human nutrition, and then finally we have courses in forestry and horticulture, landscape and sports turf management. So that completes the range of options that are available. The structure of the courses are that they're all 4 years in duration. They're very much science-based courses, so students who come in first year will study or be exposed to all of the core sciences. Then they'll begin to specialise, I guess, in more detail from second year onwards. All of our students will get involved or have an opportunity to take professional work experience or an internship, which might be more familiar to some of the students who are logging in today. And we also have a number of exchange partnerships. So at UCD, being Ireland's global university, the agri-food sector being the largest indigenous sector within Ireland, but also being an export-orientated industry, we very much encourage our students to consider either studying abroad at some point during their studies, getting involved maybe with one aspect of their work experience overseas, but they will study a curriculum that's globally relevant as well.
And Aoibhinn, for you, you're doing human nutrition. Do you want to maybe explain why you decided it, why were you interested, and why did you pick UCD?
So I graduated from the human nutrition course last year, and it was definitely one of the best decisions I made to come and study nutrition here in UCD. I was always mad into food and mad into science, and that was kind of my passion. And I was looking at the kind of courses related to food and courses related to science, and I wanted some sort of a degree that I'd be able to help people when I came out of it, and then nutrition just seemed like the perfect combination for that. And then when I came to UCD, I came to the open day, I was really impressed with kind of the top class facilities that are in the Science Centre and in the Institute for Food and Health. And also the option of the year of work experience was a really attractive feature of the course, because I realised the importance of getting that practical experience and learning on the job during the degree course. And then the wide range of jobs that could come out of the course as well was a really important factor in me choosing the course. So I was delighted I chose it. I suppose when I came up to UCD, I was coming from a relatively small town in Leitrim, and it was quite an adjustment coming up to Dublin, but I was really lucky in that the nutrition course is only 25 people, and the whole Department of Agriculture, it's very friendly. It's the common room is there, and you're really integrated into the whole college very well, so that made the whole transition a lot easier. So.
And then particularly around the universities, that kind of element of your orientation, and it's a big part of your kind of induction into agriculture is your orientation, getting to meet your peer mentors. Did that help you with settling in?
Yeah, so the peer mentors were a great help. On the first day you come in and you're kind of linked up with a second year, third year or fourth year student, and they take you on tours around the place. They talk to you about their experience of the course, where they did their placement options, and they're kind of your contact throughout the year. But also the whole Department of Human Nutrition and Food Science are very good in that they're quite a close-knit community. So we had coffee mornings with our lecturers in where you got to meet people from other years of the course. And that was also really helpful. And then you can be in contact with those people throughout your degree. So if you do have any questions in any years of your degree, particularly relating to placement, it can be really useful.
Great. And a question we just got in from Joanne is, what's the difference between food science and then the human nutrition course that you took?
So nutrition is kind of looking at what happens to food once you eat it. So it's very kind of biological, also a lot of chemistry in it, and it's looking at kind of the metabolic processes and a lot more of what's happening inside the body. And food sciences can be more industry based. So they're looking at the actual food chemistry, they're looking at things such as food stability and product development and all that kind of stuff. So you're working in the lab, it's very hands-on, and that's a really, really good course as well. And indeed we do share a lot of subjects with the food science students, and in first year you kind of everyone comes in, you're given a general science foundation in all those courses, and you're all kind of mixed in together. And then as the years do progress, you kind of are more specialised in your area, so that would kind of be where it stems a little bit further, but there is a lot of collaboration between the food science and nutrition departments.
And particularly kind of in first year you will be in kind of the bigger lecture theatres, but as you go on through all the agricultural courses, it does break down where you're really with your kind of core group of students within your course, so it's that nice mix.
Absolutely, yeah. And because the human nutrition course, there are only 25 people, so you do form really close bonds with the people in your class, but also the whole of the School of Agriculture between the societies like the AgSoc, and then there's also Nutrition Society, and that's involved in a lot of different events within the college, so you do meet people from all walks of life in the college.
For you, Paul, you did your undergrad in the School of Agriculture and then you're doing a graduate course now. Do you want to maybe explain kind of your pathway over the last couple of years?
Perfect, yeah. So I came into Ag Science in 2012. Originally I wanted to study zoology, but I missed out on the points and happened to have animal science, so it's part of agricultural science as my second choice. So that's kind of the path I took into animal science. So did from 2012 to 2016 I studied animal science, took a year out to work when I graduated, and then in 2017 went back to do a PhD. So at the moment I'm in my second year of my PhD, and it's going well so far, loving it.
Perfect. And what's your PhD based around, and what are you doing at the moment?
Yeah, so what my PhD is trying to look at is, so agriculture, particularly ruminants, so cattle and sheep, are associated with methane production. So basically what my PhD is trying to do is to better understand the biology behind methane production. So we're looking at the microbes that's within the cow's stomach or the rumen, and trying to characterise which bugs are associated with animals that produce high amounts of methane and which bugs are associated with animals that produce low amounts of methane. And hopefully then we could try and select and breed cattle to produce less methane. And that's pretty much the ins and outs of it.
And for your PhD, you're based out in Lyons Estate for the majority of it?
Yeah, so between Lyons, and then it's in association with Teagasc as well, so I kind of bounce between Lyons and Teagasc Grange, so I have two different places. And then I'm also with the Irish Cattle Breeding Federation. They're another project partner, so I'm out in their farm in Tully in County Kildare, so I get 3 different farms to work around it. See a good bit of the countryside, yeah.
And with Lyons Estate, it's a fantastic kind of facility that we have for both our undergrad students and postgrad students. Could you maybe explain how you use it during your animal science degree?
Yeah, so just a bit of context with Lyons Estate is about 240 hectares in size. It's based out in Newcastle in County Dublin, so out past Rathcoole there. It's probably about 25 minutes, I'd say, from Belfield. So when you're doing your undergraduate degree, what you do is particularly in third and fourth year, you spend a bit of time, much more towards the senior years, you spend a bit of time out there, say, doing body conditioning scoring of cattle, a few different nutrition lectures, a few different physiology lectures, and then as well at the end of halfway through second year, you also get the opportunity to maybe go lambing out in Lyons Estate as well. So particularly for someone like myself who's not from a farm, it's a pretty good opportunity to go out there and learn the type of skills, obviously out to lamb which would be pretty applicable to you when you go out on your work experience in third year. And then as well then for postgrad, so someone like myself, you have all the different nutrition labs out there, and obviously you have your animals that you can use for different experiments and different trials that are going out in lines as well.
And you actually made kind of an interesting point. You don't come from a farming background, but you entered into an agricultural degree. What was that like, and what was your kind of class mix like?
Yeah, so it took a little bit of an adjustment, particularly certain terms. Like I remember sitting in one lecture and someone said something about a PTO, and I hadn't a clue what that was. So it took me a while just to get to grips with a few of the agricultural terms. But no, overall the school is probably a 50-50-ish mix between people, say, from Dublin or urban areas and people from the countryside or people that come from farming backgrounds. But particularly in the ag science, it might be just a little bit more farming based people, but it was fantastic. It took, as I said, a little bit of time to get adjusted to the course, alright, but once I found my feet, it was brilliant. And then the first year, pretty much everybody kind of starts off at the same base anyway, so it's kind of just the basic sciences, so everybody kind of gets a basic learning. So you do, say, maths, you do chemistry, physics, as well as all the different biology courses, and then as you move on second, third year and fourth year, everybody kind of progresses together, become a little bit more specialised in their field. So no, definitely it was good.
And Avian kind of mentioned this earlier about that sense of community around the agricultural school. Could you maybe explain that and kind of some of the stuff that maybe, say, the agricultural society do?
Yeah, so the agricultural society, that's the main society run out of the school. So in terms of what the society does, it runs a variety of different social events throughout the year, but it also runs different, say, debating events and different, say, careers events. So the Ag Society runs their own career day for a variety of different agricultural companies to come in and for the students to interact with them and stuff like that. And then as well, it also has a high there's also a lot of a charity element to the Ag Society. So I think last year was about 68,000, I think, is what they raised, and get split that across two different charities. So no, it's one of the biggest societies, say, in the college, and it does a lot in terms of social career development, and, as I said, for charity as well.
Feel to it.
Definitely, 100%. It's nice as well, you can get to know your lectures a little bit more in between the society and different events that you might kind of do with each other, so it kind of breaks down that kind of student-teacher kind of barrier and kind of helps you interact with them a bit better in class.
And Damien, a question that we got in around the kind of food science and human nutrition course is around the entry requirements, and do you need a lab science subject to apply for the courses?
Yeah, I mean, it's a particularly relevant question. We receive a lot of questions on that from prospective students for the programs. A laboratory science is required for access to any of our programs or all of the programs that we offer within the school. And it's the same, it's any laboratory science subject, and that's also the case for food science and for human nutrition. The difference between food science, I guess, and human nutrition compared to some of the other programs that we offer into the school or offer within the school is that biological sciences are probably more at the core of the other programs. There's a little bit more chemistry involved, or biochemistry in particular, in the food science course and the human nutrition course. Some courses that do exist out there do require students who are studying nutrition to take chemistry, but that's not the case in UCD. We find that students are coming in, as it was mentioned earlier, all of the modules are taught on the basis that students haven't taken them before, and students have gone on and developed very successful careers in both food science and in human nutrition without having chemistry at the leaving cert. So it's any laboratory science subject is the entry requirement there.
And it was mentioned earlier the kind of careers and the networking element of the courses. Could you maybe explain where some of the kind of recent graduates have gone and the kind of careers they're going into afterwards?
Certainly, yeah. And I suppose something like agriculture, when you're talking on food and nutrition and forestry and horticulture, because you're talking about so many different program areas, there's a wide range of different careers where our graduates are finding employment, which you might expect. It's a very positive story. The climate out there for graduates is very, very positive. This year, in fact, and we heard a little bit from Paul about the Ag Science or the Ag Soc of the Student Society. Each year they organise their own careers fair. They're the only bunch of students on campus, actually, on the university campus, that organise their own careers fair. This year we had this most successful careers fair of all time. There were, I think, 46 odd exhibitors coming in, competing and canvassing for the students. It's wide ranging. Some of our graduates are going into roles like agricultural inspectors. Others are going into commercial roles, finance, marketing, sales-based positions, communications, journalism. We've got horticulturalists, foresters, food safety inspectors, quality-based roles, quality assurance officers. We also have a big focus on the environment, on the impact of the agriculture on our natural resources. So a lot of sustainability-related roles, environmental officers, policy analysts. They're kind of directions that you see in more recent times as well. So agribusiness, of course, and finance will be one. But in all aspects of the food chain, really, whether that's retail, whether it's procurement, whether it's logistics, graduates are finding employment. Not only, I should say, in the agri-food sector, but also in relatable sectors, because what you do have with the degrees that are offered by the school is that you have specific technical skills, yes, but you will also develop transferable skills. So those skills, of course, are applicable to many other sectors and industries as well.
And a question, we kind of touched on it slightly earlier, was that area of kind of studying abroad and exchange. And Joanne was just interested in finding out a bit more about that and what are the opportunities for agricultural students.
Yeah, well, I can maybe mention a little bit about the semester abroad program is what we call it, actually, and we have a number in the School of Agriculture and Food Science. We place a lot of emphasis on studying abroad, on students having both a national and an international perspective. So UCD being positioned as Ireland's global university, students will have an opportunity, as I mentioned earlier, to study a global curriculum, but also to go to one of our exchange partners. So we have a number of exchange partners in New Zealand, in the US in particular, in Australia, in fact, as well. And the real advantage of the study abroad program or the semester abroad program in the School of Agriculture and Food Science is that it doesn't add any additional time to the duration of your degree. Your degree is still 4 years. You spend a semester abroad, and you get credit for those modules at a relevant leading university overseas. So very much encourage students, as you can imagine, really enjoy that. The feedback is always very positive from students. So of the 300 plus students in agriculture who are studying on each individual year, you could have between 40 and 50 odd students per year availing of the semester abroad program. Yeah.
It's really popular, but something that for students to really investigate when they get into the course.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess one of the things that was mentioned in terms of the supports that are available to students, when students begin their studies or commence their studies in first year, there's a very comprehensive orientation program for students to help them settle in and transition to university life. We're very conscious of that and the importance of that in the School of Agriculture and Food Science. And at these types of orientation events and information sessions, there's a lot of emphasis in terms of, okay, if you're thinking about applying in third year, if you'd like to do a semester abroad, this is what you should be doing at this point. These are the types of achievements that you need to get in your examinations, and here's the types of research that you might want to start thinking about as well. So you're right, from the early days, it's important for those who want to do it to investigate it, exactly.
And just a final question for you, Damien. In terms of students who maybe they're worried about not getting the points to get into the courses straight away, what are the options in terms of alternative pathways into the agricultural courses?
Yeah, and I'm particularly glad that you raised that question, because I suppose in recent days, when in the aftermath of the Leaving Cert exams, students sometimes kind of are reflecting on their performance and have I got the points to get into a program. So we've certainly got a lot of correspondence from prospective students over the last number of days just wondering about alternative entry pathways. I suppose the first thing is that in many cases those students would have done better than they might have expected, and not to be making any sort of our advice would certainly be not to be making any kind of big decisions regarding their CEO configuration. That may not be the case, but where students maybe are unsuccessful in achieving the entry requirements to get into our programs. There are lots of alternative entry pathways. The most relevant one, I suppose, we have linkages with various institutes of technologies and agricultural colleges around the country. But where we're seeing a lot of growth at the moment, and which seems to be really working well for students, is the QQI FET route. So we have a number of places available, almost 30 places available now for students who are presenting through that route, if you like. We have some programs, if you like, that we recognise within the school, and if students enroll in the correct program, if they achieve the relevant grades in that program, they've got a very, very good chance of getting in through that route. That's an additional year typically. It's a very, very small in the overall scheme of things. And actually what we're finding within the school is that students who do that programme, it's very good preparation for what they will study when they come to UCD. So they're very well prepared when they come into UCD. So there's lots of different ways of getting onto your preferred programme, whether that's in agriculture or in other disciplines within the university as well.
Perfect. And Avian and Paul, I might throw back to you for the very last question. Do you have any advice for the current sixth-year students who are sitting at home and they're considering all their options? What advice would you give them?
Okay, so I suppose I remember well going back to it, and the best bit of advice that I got was just kind of sit down and think about what you truly enjoy. Like, just put yourself in the centre of it and think about what are your hobbies. Like, my favourite subjects in school were home ec and biology, and I was kind of looking at courses related to those subjects. And then talk to people who are in careers that you want to go into, talk to students who have done courses that you want to go on to, go to the UCD website, have a look at the courses you're interested in. They break down each course by year, by semester, all the classes you'll be doing in all those semesters, and just have a read of it and see if you'd be interested. And if that's something that floats your boat, then just go for it, I'd say.
Super, yeah, and just to build on what Avian was saying, if you have an interest in something, you're going to excel in it. So regardless, whatever points there is when you're filling out your CAO form, pick whatever course you actually think you'd like to do the most and put that at the top. Don't be ranking your courses based on the points. That's something that I think a common fault that kind of people kind of fall into, a little trap that they kind of fall into. So no, definitely put whatever you've your biggest interest in. So as my thing was, I've always loved animals, so I wanted to work with animals, so that's why I put down animal related courses. So make sure, as I said, whatever is your top interest, put that at the top of your CAO, and then work down. And if it happens to be just the highest points, fair enough, it's up the top, but it doesn't make a difference if it's 200 points. If you have an interest in it, put that up the top of your CAO, and once you have an interest in it, you will stick with it and you'll absolutely love it. And it's the best bit of advice I could give you.
Perfect. I think that's some perfect advice to end on. So I want to thank my panel for joining me today and answering all the questions. And just to remind everyone at home watching that the CAO Change of Mind helpline is open all week. So if you do have any questions relating to agriculture, food, nutrition, any of those subject areas, get in touch with us on social media or through the phone line, which will be open until next Monday. So thanks very much for joining us.